The doors are closing. Train departing. Please hold on.
Welcome to MAX101. Today we're going to be talking more about the schedules and specifically how late the trains run and why we do not have 24-hour train service. I had a whole script of stuff, but it was so long and it's no good. It was really just me telling you the schedules. And you can't just go do this for yourself. You're especially lucky if you're watching this on a computer of some kind now, because you can have two tabs open at the same time and you could just go look for it yourself. I'll even provide a link in the description to TriMet's schedules if you want to look at them. From that page you have the blue line, green line, red line, or whatever that you can click on. Now let me just show you kind of what to do. So when you're on TriMet's main webpage, where are we at here? Oh, our services. You want the MAX, and this will get you to the schedules. So you just click on one of these. It shows you the map, and you can click on any one you want. And because the schedules are going to be different all year round, because of the whole COVID thing, or it even depends on the week, on the day of the week. Well, anyway, you can check for yourself the last trains. The last few of them go to Monica really close to 2 a.m. But the last one leaves Hatfield at 12:38 a.m. Doesn't arrive in Gresham until 2:22 a.m. So if you want to know all those, then you can check for yourself. But yeah, I guess the general rule, I won't call it a rule, but definitely the general idea is that the hour of 2 a.m. is your dead hour. So let's go over the basic reason as to why trains do not run 24 hours a day. Well, the simple answer is every train needs to be back in the yard at the same time for a short amount of time. So each yard needs to receive all of its trains. There needs to be no trains running on the system all at the same time. The reason is because, well, they need to be cleaned, they need to be checked, they need to be inspected, they need to be not out in the public area where they can be vandalized in some way or trashed in some way. They need to be in the facilities at Monica or Ruby Junction. And that's really the reason. And so the last trains enter the yard a little after 2 a.m. The very last of the trains. By this point, over 95% of trains are not even on the system. It's just this one trying to get back to Ruby Junction that's really late at night. Or whatever. But anyway, after they all enter the yard, they're all cleaned, and especially during the COVID schedule, they're cleaned at the ends of the lines. So again, that's kind of your main reason as to why there is no 24-hour MAX service. There are a couple of options for getting around Portland and through the system if it's late enough at night, and if you aren't, if you're still out and you missed the last Orange Line. Orange Line's to Milwaukee end pretty early. So at around midnight or so, there will be a couple of 291 buses. The 291 bus is your best friend if you ride the Orange Line really late at night, because it's literally called the Orange Night Bus. There are two of these on weekdays and one on Saturday nights and one on Sunday nights. And these serve bus stops. They actually serve the MAX stations on 5th Avenue, and then they serve areas right next to them or right by them all the way to Milwaukee, and then it continues as a 33 bus, I think, to the Clackamas Community College. And so, yeah, I really think those buses have about maybe this many people on them at once, ever. But because the Orange Line ends so early, they had to include that system of, okay, well, we need a night bus because there aren't any Orange Line trains beyond midnight, and so they give you two of those. But that's still not really 24-hour service. It kind of just makes up for the difference of there not being late night MAX service on other lines either. But if you ride the Max Blue line, there is sort of a way, as long as it's not during the COVID schedule, there is sort of a way where you can get from Gresham all the way to Hillsborough. If you wanted to, you could ride from Gresham all the way to Hillsborough 24 hours a day. But you won't be taking a Max for that because, like I said, they need to get into the yard, if you've been paying attention through this video. Instead, there's a bus line. The 20 bus is going to be your best friend for this. The 20 bus runs 24 hours a day. This bus is the Burnside bus. And guess what? The Max runs on Burnside as well. But during that segment, it's rerouted to Stark Street, which is just nearby. It begins at the Gresham Central Transit Center, which is within walking distance from the Cleveland Avenue Max station, which is where the Blue Line begins out in Gresham. It serves these streets pretty much parallel to it all the way up until about Gateway. And then from there, it runs on Burnside Street. It serves stations at 82nd, 60th. It serves all the stations, just, again, within pretty lengthy walking distance, but you can still get to where you need to go for the actual Max stations. It then crosses the Burnside Bridge, serves all stations throughout downtown, kind of, again, near-ish to the Pioneer Square area. Then it continues off all the way. It serves both Sunset Transit Center and Beaverton Transit Center, and it ends at the Beaverton Transit Center. Well, it ends at the Beaverton Transit Center, but what if I want more service? What if I still need to go out to Hillsborough? Well, guess what other bus runs 24 hours a day? The 57 bus. This one is not very close to the Max stations themselves, but it does run 24 hours a day, and it begins at the Beaverton Transit Center, and if you need to end up in downtown Hillsborough, then this works. Absolutely works. It takes you along TV Highway, which is the highway that is full of televisions. No, it's not. TV Highway is just the Tualatin Valley Highway because it was built through the Tualatin Valley. But it goes all the way through there and eventually ends up in downtown Hillsborough. And so you pretty much get immediate station access to the Tuolumne Hospital Station and the Hillsborough Central Transit Center Station. And it even continues all the way out to Forest Grove. The interesting thing is yes, both of these buses run 24 hours a day. Outside of COVID, of course. During the whole COVID-19 thing, they're not. But these buses are normally run 24 hours a day. But even though it's not very frequent, they run every hour. So there's a bus at like 1:20 in the morning, 2:20 in the morning, 3:20 in the morning, 4:20. But it's better than nothing because it makes it so you don't have to wait out there the whole night until a train comes by. You might just be waiting up to an hour, which again, not very fun, especially if you're in the bad part of town in the middle of the night by yourself. You might want to carry a machete on you or something, but no, actually don't, because don't ever bring that kind of stuff onto a bus. Don't listen to me in that kind of stuff. But it is possible to get from place to place on the system, even overnight. It's even possible to get to Pdx, the airport, overnight, because there's a bus called 272, the Pdx Night Bus. And this runs after the Red Line runs. Again, every hour to the airport. So this is overnight only. And this, again, it fills in the gap from by the time the Red Line stops going to the airport to when it begins going to the airport again. There's a bus that leaves every hour. And from what I've heard, this bus had really insanely low ridership, and so they have temporarily canceled the bus during COVID-19, but especially because it leads to the airport and you're really not supposed to be doing that anyways. But it'll come back. It will come back eventually. It appears as though we've hit the end again. So join me next time for another episode which will also have to deal with the schedules. I will see you on the next one.